This award, this is not for me. Organizers all over the country, the activists, the civil rights, the struggling parents, the families, the teachers, the students that are realizing that a system built to divide, impoverish, and destroy us cannot stand if we do. All right? It's kind of basic mathematics.
If you hear me, could you feel me, could you free me? Wonder if I made a difference or made a difference. But that we are the difference. We ain't got no code to decipher. Brother, I would never call you trife. You my brother, though they knife and fork got meals. Then cop the silly feels. Yep, it's slimy, kinda grimy. Miscalculated the timing. But you can't plagiarize something in the skies and think we have no eyes to see something real as we. This is seriously who we be. See, this here is true indeed. The real deal, thoroughbred, like collard greens and cornbread. Can't recite what's never said. Purpose keeps us fed. Real man. This is brand A, hope fed. But still, you are my brother. Above you, there's no other. Blood or something other. More like what the blood covers. Man, no matter what they say, we good over this way. This is positivity in the making. Helping brothers to break through. Without breaking. Without breaking. Without breaking. Without breaking. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday.
So it's Brother Empowerment Day.
Right. So if this is your first time watching, this is not one of those bashing shows, but this is an opportunity for us to engage in healthy conversations and hoping that something that is discussed will help you or somebody that you may know. Now, before we get into our special guest, bro, how was your week?
My week has been full of just running around. That's what I'll say. I've been doing a lot of driving this week, just running around doing various things. So it's been that, and I've also been, man, just figuring out the best ways to stack some change, man. I really just want to come out. Whenever we come out of this whole pandemic or Rona, as we like to call it, period, I want to have put away quite a bit of money. So I'm looking at the ways that I can cut costs and cut stuff out. Without really impacting my quality of life. So that's really what my week's been, man.
So my plan is going to be just borrow money from you when you come out with the change. I'm totally going to be bro man from the fifth floor. Man, I just want to let you know that.
That's been like really bugging me, but yeah, that's been my week, bro. How about yours?
Whew. I've been busy, bro.
Oh yeah.
We haven't really talked this much this week.
Yeah.
It's just been a lot of things happening. The great thing is we just finished our latest cohort.
Yes.
We have 11 new certified love advocates.
Yes. Congratulations to them. They all got certificates. So,
usually we run multiple classes at a time to make a larger cohort for graduation.
Yep.
So this is our largest at one time. Mm-hmm. And it couldn't be more diverse in professions, ethnicities, experiences, perspective. The list goes on and on. So I'm definitely excited, but I think I'm more excited because we allowed the graduates to come back, and we had some graduates to talk about their experiences, and it's just amazing because I do feel like those first 2-3 cohorts, we sorry.
Yep. I remember them because I was taking the class in all of them. So I remember.
Yeah, but we were finding our rhythm and we were finding all of those things. So I'm definitely excited about that. And I'm excited on the fact that, we still got our book out.
Yep.
The second installment of the training is out, ampersands and commas.
You guys go get that. It's amazing.
Love is communicated. And of course, for those who have always been asking, we got the Brother Empowerment Podcast.
Yep. Can listen.
If you don't want to see us, you can hear us.
Yep.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And then you guys, you still can get 360 degrees of success and fulfillment. For those who are looking for more than just success, but fulfillment and success, you definitely want to get to that next level. So make sure you head on over to loveistheparable.com and get all of the things that you need.
Yep.
Now I'm excited, bro. Because this is round 2.
We love repeat guests.
We do?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And these ladies, Yeah.
Because if y'all remember the first time, if y'all don't, y'all gotta go back and watch the video.
Like, remember?
Yeah.
Remember?
Like, I remember.
So, ladies, you can go ahead and unmute yourselves and go ahead and introduce yourselves and let the people know who you are, who you be.
Again.
Who you is, for those who don't know.
Mm-hmm. We start at the top. Go ahead, Lenora. Yeah.
I am Lenora Lassiter of Lenora Porous. I am known as the people builder. So I help build people in various areas of their lives. I help them identify their purpose and teach them that they are born for a purpose, and that purpose is to pour into the lives of others. Not only that, but I'm also a realtor. I'm an author, coach, speaker, and a multiple of things. So that's why I fall up under the main umbrella as a people builder. So that's who Lenora Lassiter is of Lenora Porous.
Word.
Traci.
Hello. I am Traci Phillips. I am an executive leadership coach for visionaries, and visionaries are a unique breed, and I understand because I am one. So I really help them to define and align their lane of genius or brilliance, as it were, and so that they can find the right networks and people to support them, not only to stay in that lane, but to do the other things that they need to get their visions into reality and then some. So I'm happy to be back. I love being here.
Excellent. We love having you here. Kate.
Hey, everybody. I am Kate Davis. I'm the executive director of the Fuquay Varina Chamber of Commerce. And I was told after last time that my intro is not solid enough. And following you ladies, I can understand why. So I'll add a few words to describe myself. I am a developer. I'm a connector. I, like Lenora and Traci, both believe in the power of people and what we can do together versus what we can do on our own. So developer, connector, problem solver. I think I wear that hat more than most in each and every aspect of my life every day. And I'm a community builder. I really do believe in community, whether it's within our membership at the chamber or within the community of Fuquay, Southwest Wake County. Really believe in building those strong connections between people. So I'm glad to be back too, Traci. It's nice to see you and Lenora and the guys. I'm grateful to be here.
Yep. Oh, you know what?
That was beautiful.
It was.
They left out.
Thank you.
That they do. Do y'all know what y'all left out?
What? Where we're from?
All of y'all have hosts of all of y'all are hosts of shows.
That's right.
Yes.
Hosting
So I have a
shows.
podcast, an online podcast that comes on every other Tuesday. It's called Lenora Porous Porn Sessions. So yes, that's what I do.
Traci?
And I got to check that out. Lenora's already been to my show, so I need to do that. So I have a podcast every other Wednesday. The next one is next week at 1:00 Eastern time with my friend Will Winport, who's a business, I almost said therapist. Yeah, I feel like he's a therapist with me on the show, but we are unscripted, raw and real. So we just talk about whatever comes up, and hopefully you can join us. We can be found at Eavesdrop in the Moment on Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
Kate?
Well, I can't follow either of those. I can attest to Traci's because I've caught a little bit of it, and I would definitely say there's a therapy element there for sure. I do my Love Local series. I'm getting there. I would not call it a podcast. We're not there just yet, although we've had a lot of conversations about that. No, I've just been interviewing members of ours in the business community, just trying to gain them a little bit more visibility for their business, allow them to introduce themselves. Some people aren't familiar. So it's my job to amplify their voices, and that's another way to do it. So.
Yep. Well, thank you, ladies, for what you do. And like I told you before, we're going to highlight every single thing that you do because y'all are doing some dynamic things. And guys, if you don't know these ladies, you definitely need to connect with them, follow them, subscribe, do whatever you need to do because every last one is a gem and they dropping some jewels. Trust me. Bro, who we got with us? Because I see a lot of people on.
Okay, so if I miss your name with the shout out, please drop us a comment so we can see you. So, all right, so we got Mama Garnett is watching. Hey, Mama Garnett. We got Ricky Phillips is up here, aka the Beard. What's up, bro? We got my sister Lolita is up here. Hey, sis. We got Stephanie is up here. Hey, Stephanie. We got my other sister Tara. Hey, Tara, what's going on?
I don't think you say your other sister, but go ahead.
Yeah, nothing for that. Hey, Chanel, we got Chanel as
my soror, my sister.
Yeah, my sister too. We got Tamara's on.
My sister Tam.
Hey, Tam. Let's see, we got Roderick is on. What's up, Roderick?
Hey, brother.
We got Rashia's on. Hey, Rashia.
Hey, Rashia.
We got Latasco. Hey, Latasco. We got Kimberly's on. Hey, Kimberly.
Hey, Kimberly.
We even got Dana.
What's up, Dana?
Glenn. What's up, Dana? Who else we got? We got my man Gino. What's up, Gino, man?
What's going on?
If y'all don't know, Gino has a dope clothing line called Epic with 2 Ks. I recently bought some merch from him. His clothing line is really dope, and everything is a one of one. There's no replicas or nothing. So if you don't catch something, there is no restocking. It's done. Everything's one of one. So Gino, man, put your website in the comments, man, so people can check you out. But his stuff is really, of course, it's authentic, but it's really different. It's really unique. And like I said, everything's a one of one.
Kerwin is on.
What's up, Kerwin, man? Sorry. What's up, Kerwin, bro? Let's see. What else we got? Sherry is on. And then we have, I was going to say we have Lenora Pores, but now she put her stuff in there.
Yeah. So, guys, you already know how the show is going to go. We're going to go over statistics, and then we're going to get into some important topics that we never know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Look, Lenora, you don't have to look at me like that. She's like, don't be playing with these topics, man. Let's stop. Researchers have found that 1 in 6 men have experienced sexual abuse or assault, whether in childhood or as adults. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. Men's top fears: body image, money, height, other men, and being inexperienced. So my group representing 40.5 men over the age of 20. We big and in charge.
Oh, man.
That's not good.
It's
not good. We got to do better. But we big. Almost 50% of us is big. And men die 3.5 times more often than women. The peak age for this is around 45 to 49. Even though the peak age is 45 to 49, men who are 50 and above and under 45 commit suicide at the same rate. So that's very important to know. Rape of males. 1 in 71 men had been raped or suffered an attempt in their lifetime. Men receive 63% longer sentences on average than women do. And women are twice as likely to avoid incarceration when convicted. Thoughts? That's a lot, huh?
That's a lot.
So what are your thoughts?
That we could do better. Sorry.
Amen to that, Traci. That was a great response.
Yeah. A lot of statistics to, think about. And I would just say as a community, we have to be there for each other a little bit more, especially, men, women, we have to be supportive of men even more because they do suffer in silence because oftentimes they feel like that they cannot share some of the things, or I would say the frustration and the inter-conflict they're dealing with, they can't share with other people because people feel like, well, you should man up. You should be able to deal with this. They're not allowed to show their vulnerability or transparency. So we as women, because women here on the platform, of course, with you and Cordell, we have to be more of a support platform for them.
I can actually speak to that, which I think is a very powerful thing that you just said, Lenora, because, years ago when I had an ex-military client, he had a really tough time showing emotion for, reasons we could probably figure out. But just in general, he had been raised not to show any kind of emotion. And his wife was really, they were at a point in their relationship where his wife wanted him to feel more, capable of doing that. And when he finally got up, the courage to do it, the first time he shared some of his emotions around things, he came back and he was saying to me, he says, I could feel her pulling back. right? So really we're all conditioned, on both sides, as much as to your point of as being women who get to be more supportive of men, or at least try to look at it. And I don't think it's just male, female. I mean, I think we're really in a time where we talk about diversity and inclusion, but then we look at the polarity out in the world. We look at how one side, is pointing fingers at the other and saying, you need to do this the way, we want you to do it. And the other side's saying the same thing. And, the whole idea of inclusion with diversity is that we include different types of people, right? Who come from different places. So how do we do that? We do that not by trying to, have them come over to our side of thinking or our way of doing things, but to really listen and lean in and try to understand. Even if we stand on another side, we all have different lenses. We can't change that, but we can, seek to better understand and support those, who are not like us, and include them again at the table.
I will say another great thing about what you both said there is, I think sometimes the best way of providing support is providing people an opportunity and the space to kind of think things through. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I've noticed that is exceptional about you three women. No matter who I'm talking to, you guys create a safe space where we can have a conversation that is not gender leaning. Mm-hmm. It is definitely a conversation where you be like, even if we disagree, be like, I don't know about that, mm-hmm. but it's still an opportunity to give different perspective, because I can say every last one of you guys have said something that I went back and talked to my wife about and been like, what do you think about this? Mm-hmm. And so it helps bridge not just unity amongst people you don't know, but sometimes it fortifies those relationships with people that you do know, mm-hmm. because of that different perspective that you didn't even consider. And that's a form of support that a lot of people don't even realize is very important, creating a space just to express. Yep,
absolutely.
And Sherry, this is my show. I do what I want to do. Oh, she said I need to be there for her more. I've been neglecting everybody the last 2 weeks, so I'm sorry. Please don't take it personal.
Called out.
Yeah, that's just what I do. It's called being an entrepreneur. So let's get into it. When a man loses his job, how does that affect him personally and providing for his household? And how does it affect him if he has to depend on his woman to hold things down? Ooh.
Well, considering, wow, this is interesting because, well, for me, I live alone. So the person that I gotta look at if I were to lose my job would be me, because I don't live with anybody. I live at home alone. So I just have to look in the mirror and say, what are you gonna do? But no, I mean, and I have, lost a job before. And so it is, depending on the circumstances, it can really be devastating, simply because, it takes time, as people have said before, the popular saying is looking for a job is a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So that's one of those things where, especially if you have plans in place, like I don't think there's many people that plan to lose their job. You plan to be there for at least some amount of time until you choose to leave on your own terms. But to lose your job is kind of puts a big wrench in things. And so as a man, especially being in this country, being conditioned that as a man, you're supposed to have all the money, you're supposed to provide for your household. And if you're not providing the money and any other resources, you're lacking and you're not a man. It can really put a lot of stress on you and really can affect your relationships, both platonic and romantic. It really just permeates all the different things. And so it can really be devastating. As far as how does it depend on a woman to hold things down, don't know. I'll have to slide with my brother for that one.
Ooh, I will say, you know how people always say, I would never? Mm-hmm. But you never know how you feel until never happens to you.
Right.
You always like, yeah, that'll never happen. And I remember I've always been the primary breadwinner our entire marriage. So for like 11 years, I'm the primary breadwinner. I have lost jobs, but I've usually recovered somewhere along the way. But I have noticed the older we get, the harder it is to find that job. Like in my 20s and my early 30s, I was like, you know, it ain't nothing. Leave one job, go to the next one. Now, boy, them jobs are like desert lands. You like, what? And so I remember being laid off in 2014, which birthed the book For Love is a Parable. That was a devastating blow because I was so high in my career, just bought a home. We had to relocate. I was living in a hotel for a month. It was just horrible. And I can honestly say that was a low moment for me. It was so low, it was hard for us to just get back on track. And it seemed like as soon as we got back on track, soon as we did it, we started Love is a Parable. In less than a year after starting Love is a Parable, lost the job again. And this one was tough because even though we ended up finding a job, I ended up hearing the news that I was laid off, but we were recovering. And so like the beginning of January 2020, we was facing not one foreclosure, but 3. You're talking about 2 houses and our rental property. It was like, we don't know what we're going to do. And I had a job and felt defeated. And so when I heard the news that I lost my job in July of last year, I remember literally going into the room and I just cried on my wife because I knew physically I couldn't take another cycle of going through trying to figure out how you're going to provide for the family and keep it up. So I think it's not just losing a job; it's losing your plan A and B. On top of that,
yeah, absolutely.
And then you have people who are depending on you to be their plan B and C. And it was hard. And I remember my wife after. I was crying ugly. You know, you do that hiccup cry, and it's kind of snotty, and it's just nasty, and you don't even make no noise. Really, it was like that. And I remember my wife saying, no, this time is different. And she was like, you better stop crying. She said, this time is different. We're going to be all right. So since July, my wife has been the primary breadwinner. Love is a Parable continued to soar. And I remember thinking in November, we went from facing eviction to paying everything. And so, but it still messes with you. Because she is the primary breadwinner when it comes to having a job. Love is a Parable is taking care of itself. I do contract work. I don't use any of Love is a Parable because we got things that we're trying to do there. And so it is dependent on her in having that conversation. And to be honest, I asked her how she feels because now the pressure of the house is on her, which she never experienced in 13 years. So each day I have to remind myself that we're going to be all right. I can't sit there and lie and say like, I don't think about it because each day I have to renew my mind to say, we good. We going to eat, bills paid. Love is a Parable doing good. The house going to do good. We're good. So when we talk about positive affirmations, you truly got to profess those things every single day because it'll creep back on you. Like, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens?
It's crazy because, and I don't even have kids or wife or anything like that. And I think about that at least a couple times a month. Like, okay, when I do have a family, I gotta have money saved up because something happens. I gotta be able to get to make sure stuff is okay because my family has to be all right and this and that and this and that. And it's just one of those things that we're conditioned to do and think about even as young boys, where you're gonna have a family someday. So you gotta have money, you gotta get a good job because you gotta provide for them. You can't depend on, you can't be having your wife do stuff or, you're a man, you gotta do this. And it's one of those things that it gets perpetuated and it's a constant stressor the older you get, especially when you get a family, and because most of the men in my family that I'm connected to have families. So it's stuff that I don't even have to ask them about. I look and see how the dynamics are, what they go through, and it's a constant thing. Even when they're not actively talking about it or worrying about it, still things that come up. Okay, I got bills, I got kids, I got to go to college. They need this. My wife wants to do this. If I do this around the house, like it's like I got to come with the money for this. And that's even if you know, their spouse, their wife is working. They're still thinking about those things. So it's just something that is, it, for lack of a better phrase, it just comes with being a man, especially in America. You know, as far as how those things are, how they wear on you.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, well, I don't want to sound redundant, but just to add to what you guys already stated is that it is an added stressor in the life of the husband or the male who's providing for the family. But that's when it's very essential as a couple to reassure the love in the relationship and just maintain that positivity throughout that tumultuous time, because it happens in marriages, you know. I mean, I've been there before, but the thing about it is we have to support each other throughout that time and say, hey, you know, the opportunity is going to come. Let's work through this thing together. And if I have to hold you down for a few months until another opportunity comes available, then that's what I have to do, or vice versa. So it's all about reassuring the love and being able to go through those tough times together. So I just wanted to state that without being redundant in what you guys already covered, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Ricky was saying, I'm secure enough in my manhood to let my wife hold me down if it comes to that. We are a team, so it's not that big of a deal for me.
Yeah.
And Ricky don't know how to use Facebook yet because he's commenting as love is a parable as well. Trying to say that I'm neglecting him. Thank you, Sherry, for wanting to be our breadwinner, but we like rye bread. And Stephanie said, I'm not a man, but I counsel many of them. In sessions, they report this loss as affecting them in many realms: social, financial, sexual, personal, etc.
Yep.
Areas are all affected. They report feeling a sense of defeat and feeling powerless.
Yep, exactly.
I ain't gonna say that yet. Gino said is it harder to find another job when you get older, or is it hard to find a job you need with similar benefits and pay scale you're looking for? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It feel like all of the above.
Yeah, for real.
Giving up is never an option. You can, must, and will recover. Good job, Lenora Porras. She got a team working for her. Mr. Lassiter said, don't believe the hype.
Thank you.
It's everyone's responsibility to provide for the family. Society will have you believing only the man is to provide. A man in general has so much stress that society will put on you. Protect and provide means to work and protect the family from danger. Can the guests on the show, girl, hush. Can't give up. Our families are counting on us, but it makes it more challenging when the stress hits us.
Hey, Misha.
Miss Misha's on. This is good stuff. Great points from everyone. Yolanda Horn said, I think the concern is saying holding you down. This is a union.
Yeah, hold me up.
Thank you.
Either person can't be picky when jobs come along. Take it until something better comes along.
Now, I've done that before. Definitely.
So if I may, I see two issues here that are just glaring to me. And I think Lenora and her husband and a couple others hit on one of them. And that is this expectation that men hold it down on the job front, period, that men are sole providers. When you enter into a relationship with someone else, have these conversations. Talk about what your financial situation looks like, how much of a team you're going to be in that sense, and have some kind of boundaries around that. What am I looking to you for? And are we entering this as a team? Do you share your finances? Some people have separate bank accounts. Maybe that makes a difference. If you're in it together, and however you do it, if you're in it together, you're a team. So if somebody loses a job, you're not losing the breadwinner. You're just losing part of the team for that time to pour into it, to be able to put into it. And the second thing I see, so first is, couples really being able to talk about what they're looking for in their relationship, what they're expecting from the other person or hoping for out of the other person. And then I think, I'm a mom of small boys. And I think we need to do a much better, like Traci said earlier, we need to do better. We need to do a much better job of raising our boys to not have that expectation on them, to not have that pressure on them. You're allowed to be your own person, and you're allowed to find a partner who is an equal to you, not someone you are there to support financially solely. I think that's completely unfair. And it also diminishes girls from being in that position to be able to step into the breadwinner role and say, I come into this making more money than you do. And I don't want that to be an issue between the two of us. You know, I don't want my boys to shy away from strong women because they say, well, I'm supposed to be the one supporting, and, you know, she's kind of already got this. Well, great. Then you can have this together and you can be something even better than you would have been on your own. So that's kind of that. Those are the issues, the big ones that I see with that.
Amen. I mean, I would say I could not agree with that more. You know, they always say that the best coupleships are when each person comes together as a unique and well-grounded individual, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're looking at, you know, one to support the other, I mean, sometimes those things will happen. As you said, you know, in a partnership, sometimes we're down as a union, and sometimes we're up. But if it's one of those things where we're literally leaning that concept of you complete me, which is really a codependency model. You know, and I think for so long, that's what we've seen in relationships of all kinds, you know, boss, employee, husband, wife. It's this, you know, I need you to fulfill this for me, and you need to have me to fulfill this for you. If we come together and we're strongly grounded, we can take care of our own, but then together we come together stronger. That's really what's going to create great partnership. And we're in a time now where that's more understood. But yet we still have a lot of the, you know, histrionic, deep-corded beliefs around the protecting, providing, and serving of men, and the women staying at home. You know, that has changed, but yet there's a lot of belief systems or the BS that goes on inside of us that hasn't changed. And so, again, to your point, Kate, I love it. It's like communication is everything. Because if we don't have these conversations, we have assumptions, right? And when we're left with assumptions, we know what that does. But there was another thing I wanted to bring up. There's a woman who wrote a book who's a mentor and had been a mentor at, you know, for executives for a number of years. And she had this pie cake analogy that I thought was really great. She says, you know, men just think differently and women think differently. And part of not only the upbringing or the histrionic kind of conditioning around men is men focus in like pie, right? And that stands for performance, image, and exposure. All right. So when men look at, you know, they're looking at themselves in business, for example, you know, they are looking at their levels of performance, image, and exposure. Whereas women, the cake model was more about what's important to women, you know, as they go up in the ranks of you know, their executive corporate professions. But, you know, what do they lean into, especially when it comes to leadership? And we're talking compassion, attitude and aptitude. You know, we're talking about kinetics, you know, how do we come together and connect, and empathy, right? So women, I think to Lenora's point earlier, you know, we have places where we naturally lean in when we're going through a hard time. You know, we get with our girlfriends and we'll chat and, you know, get it all out and provide that space to kind of work through our issues. And men traditionally haven't really, I mean, you know, you guys have certain spaces, but how deep do you really get? And again, I think those things are changing, but they get to change more and more the more we communicate. The more we give that permission and say, we're human first and gender second, you know, is that although we have certain things that we're more apt to lean into, you know, all of these aptitudes are available to every single human being. And I think the more we talk about it and make it a new norm, you know, the more we'll feel comfortable leaning into those new positions.
Yeah. I like everything that you said. I think that the one part that a lot of us have to realize when you're in a relationship, it's not just a person you're in a relationship with, because there are social constructs that we all contend with. And just like you can be going to work and you can leave early, but if there's a wreck on that road and you're late, you feel the effects of that wreck, even though you're not in it. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you can have a clear understanding in your relationship, but if the people that you trust have a different perspective, it may not even be a negative one. They may have a different perspective. It will cause you to think. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we think about that enough, because it's also different Me having a job, being secure in my job, having nice finances, and talking about a partnership is totally different when that thing is taken away. You're like, hold on. Because now you feel like I'm not a contributing partner. So it wasn't a question if my wife is going to leave me because I lost my job. It wasn't even a question that my wife was even providing. The question is now is like, how do I hold up my end? And I think that that's the part that we sometimes miss when having these discussions. Meaning it has nothing to do with insecurity.
Right.
It may not have anything to do with my wife being less of a partner as much as it is we had an agreement and now I'm not fulfilling that agreement.
Right.
And how do I process that? Because that's a level of betrayal to my wife, whether it was intentional or not. She has to think about things she normally didn't have to think about. I have to think about things we never had to think about. And those things play a factor. And a lot of people are like, well, it'll be fine. You just get another job. It's not that. Well, you know, you'll bounce back. It's not that either. It's me as a person not doing what I agreed to do. And how am I going to keep my word when now something has happened that has hindered me from that? That's a whole different process to go through. You know what I mean?
So can I ask you a question about that?
Oh, Lenora's about to say it first, and then you, Traci.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I think also we have to keep in perspective is that there are multiple ways to contribute to a relationship, but sometimes we only focus on that one component, which is money. And when that particular component is out of the equation, then we sometimes lose our identity and like, okay, so what am I going to do now? But there's other things that we can contribute to a relationship to make the relationship whole until that other opportunity comes available as far as employment or, you know, a new gig or, you know, a contract, things of that sort. So I think that we have to look at the holistic part of things whenever we're talking about what makes this union a great union.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Our value is not what's external to us. Our value is what's internal to us. And how can we bring that value to the table? So whether, you know, it's not the job, it's not the things we can provide, it's not any of that. I mean, you know, we look at it that way and we actually identify ourselves through the things we can provide physically, right, outside of us. But I think it's really a moment to go in. And like you said, Jay, you know, the first go around and what that, I mean, think about the man you are now because of these experiences that you've had. And the man you are now, having had those experiences, the value that adds to any given situation, right? And I think I think about the value to that for your kids, the value to that for your community, the value to that for, you know, anybody who hears you speak or comes into connection with you. You know, that value continues to grow regardless of if you have a job, if you have a house, if you even have a partnership, right? You know, so I think that that's the thing too, is I want people to start to identify themselves as value within themselves, right? And not just what they produce. But the other thing too, is you said your word, you know, that when you lost your job, I mean, we also have to remember the things external. If we're identifying our word to the loss of a job, like what is that connection about? Because again, things will happen. You know, what are some of the old fashioned vows to, you know, for, you know, in sickness and in health, you know, I mean, we don't know what's going to come along. And unless you went in and you got all nasty with your boss and you got fired because you were not doing what you needed to do, like it was, I mean, we can't say it's a fault thing because I don't think it's fault one way or another. Things happen, right? So how do we shift that and say, okay, I promised this, but it fell through. So where can I realign? Because again, you know, is your word something that is based on other people's decisions external to you, or is your word something that's internal?
I love that, Traci, you hit it on the head with value and having that intrinsic value. I also think that this is back to communication too. Like, would it be awful to go to your wife in a situation like this and say, I am really struggling with what I'm bringing to the table right now. Like, I've always defined myself as this provider and I can't do that right now. And you know, you see me, I'm working, I'm trying. How can I show you support? How can I continue to provide for you even though I don't have this job right now? So to be able to have that conversation, because she may say, hey, just the fact that you recognize that did it for me. Like just the fact that you're showing up and saying you see that this is, you know, something that we're lacking right now, and it's something we don't have, but that you want to still be part of this partnership, that may do it just there. There are definitely other ways you can provide value, but asking, how can I support you while we're working through this together?
I'm glad we're having this conversation. Misha said, my husband is struggling with this now since the tables have turned. Stephanie said, this is an antiquated notion. Mm-hmm. Men have to be sole providers. Women make money too. A lot of it, it's a partnership. Yeah. Good point, Katie. We're stronger together. She's running for office, Rashia. She said, as men, we have to set our pride aside and allow our partner to provide as well. Your partner do not complete you as an individual. The individual should come into the relationship already completed as a whole. My cousin Traci is dropping knowledge. Great info, Traci. Wow, pie and cake, they love it. Traci can it be, you know what? I'm sick of her. Really good points, ladies and gentlemen. Men and women do think differently. Men like pie and cake. That's why 100% of us is bullies. Amen to that. But sis can't be shouting independence, but calls men bums if they don't provide to their standards. That's the BS. Mm-hmm. Kate, what's in the pink tuck?
Swear to God, it's water this time.
Hunty, if the husband lose a job, that man file unemployment until another opportunity come through.
The task will have one of them.
Oh, Jay, it causes one to think if they're willing to listen and understand. To Kate's point about communication, mm-hmm. Sometimes a belief is so embedded, it's part of them, and it's difficult for them to think differently. Mm. Yes, take care of the home if you can't provide the money. Mm-hmm. She's talking about absolutely. A job does not determine a person's worth. Word. Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're open to those who are going through that process. Yep. Because sometimes we suffocate people with encouragement mm-hmm. when they just need to breathe. Yep. Like a good point. Like my wife probably won't leave me if I never make a money. What she probably will leave me over more than anything is that I still do for people that mistreat me. Like that burns through her. Like having love is a parable. And knowing that there are people out here that mistreat us, don't pay money, don't do what they're supposed to do, don't do all of that. Like, she's like, what is wrong with you? Why do you still do for people? That will burn her more than us being homeless. Yeah. So I think that sometimes, and people try to encourage me, mm-hmm. and it really annoys me. I'm like, I don't need encouragement. I'm not discouraged. I'm frustrated with this part of the process. Yep. I know where I need to go. I don't need you to tell me anything. Sometimes they don't realize that sometimes listening is the best form of encouragement. Yep. Be like, could you just zip it? I don't need you to motivate me. I'm motivated. Yeah. I know I got a good wife. I know I'm a good man. Yep. I know I got good kids. I know I got a nice house. I know I got things to be grateful for. But they'll keep doing it. And you're like, would you just stop?
Yeah. It's like, I don't need a motivational speaker right now. I don't need that. Like, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, please, just no.
Yeah, I think that's
like about every last one of them. It's like all of them have this thought where they were like, because Lenora have said several times, like, I don't know what to say.
So, this is why I think it's so important to always ask for permission. Mm-hmm. It's like I even find as a coach, people are paying me to coach them. And if I have something to add to what a client is saying, I'll still ask for permission. Mm-hmm. Would you like my feedback on that?
Yeah.
Because I think that the thing is we want to help, but sometimes we forget that in the empowerment, in the disempowerment dynamic, help is rescue. And that's not just disempowering, that's enabling, mm-hmm. which is actually disabling. Right? So it's like, I'll save you. Well, the person hasn't asked for you to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the key piece is that, a lot of times in our best intentional, wanting to, because we say we love them or we care for them or we tell ourselves all sorts of stories, we're going to rush in and try to save it and fix it. and nobody's asked for that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I really resonate a lot with what you're saying there, because I think, being reverent of one another means asking for what the other person needs, and not just assuming that because we see through our lens that it looks like they need help, that we need to rush in there and do something about it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm an offender to that, because sometimes I give unsolicited advice, but it's not coming from an ill will. It's coming from more of a positive perspective. But listening to you all on tonight, I guess I need to start asking permission before I give my advice, or not so much advice, but just kind of like input. But I'm learning from your guys. I'm learning from your platform.
I think there's a way to say, like, I saw it, and it was probably on something simple like Instagram or something, but I saw, that you could probably quell a lot of the battles between men and women when it comes to communication if you were simply able to ask, are you looking for a solution or just an ear? Like, that's it. Here I am, I'm venting. I just got to get this out. Like, I need 20 minutes for you to just listen to this, and no, please don't fix it. Don't fix it. I don't need a fix. I'm a smart and capable woman. I will fix it. But right now in this moment, I need to vent it and get it out. And just that simple question can make a big impact. Maybe you need advice. Maybe it's like, okay, so I'm going to vent this, and then I definitely need you to tell me what you think about it. Or I don't need to hear another word, pass the wine, and we move on.
Yep.
So it's
That's what's really in that pink tumbler, isn't it?
Not today, but.
And that's exactly what me and my wife say. Like, when we start off a conversation, like, hey, I just want you to listen to this real quick.
Right.
Or we'll say, hey, I need your advice breaking this down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that can be helpful.
Yeah.
That can be helpful for the people who tend to. Sorry, we're like all jumping in. That can be really helpful for the people that we know, like my husband. I mean, men like to fix. I mean, I think women do too in their own way. But, I always start something off by, I just need your ear right now, and it prompts him. So even if he's in, I want to fix you or save you mode, like that prompts him to be like, okay, I'm just listening. And so I think that it keeps going back to the communication thing. But I wanted to say really quickly, a friend of mine years ago, who's a therapist, said that a lot of times unsolicited advice can come across as criticism.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't think about that. I mean, if we're really in this place of like, I want to fix it myself, and the person's trying to tell us, it's like, if we're in the wrong state of mind, we can actually think about it as criticism when it's not intended that way at all.
Yeah.
That's funny. Tara just said what you're about to say. Plus, acting like it can be fixed by someone else in 5 minutes is insulting to that person.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I know you've been living in this, but I'm going to fix it right now for you. Yes, Lenora. Please let Lenora.
Give me that quote. I want that quote verbatim so I can write it down.
I will find that one for you. I will. I got to go back and get it especially right. I want to get it right, but yes, I'm happy to share that one.
Gotcha. And I guess too, it kind of depends on, to me, the situation. For an example, case in point, I was working with a client today with my 9-to-5 job, and she was like, she wanted to start the process of her career transition, but listening to her talk, I kind of felt, and I'm just going to be honest, my discernment kicked in. I am in ministry, but I don't display that on my 9-to-5. But anywho, I told her, I said, well, it seems to me that you have a lot of things going on. And she said, I do. She said, I'm dealing with like extreme PTSD. So I have a lot of moving factors. And I was telling her, I said, sometimes you just have to take a break. If this is not the right time to start this process, it's okay to take a break and revisit the process. And I said, sometimes you just got to take some me time, take a vacation. I said, go to Puerto Rico or something. She said, did I just mention to you that I was going to Puerto Rico? I said, no. She said, well, that's where I'm planning to take a vacation. So I guess it kind of, I'm not like talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it just depends on, I guess, the scenario and who you're dealing with. And
well, you delivered that well, though, Lenora. You delivered that well. You didn't say, girl, you are a hot mess right now and you need a vacation. You don't need to change a job. You've lost your mind. Like, it does depend on how you deliver it as well. Okay. You sounded like you heard her and you saw her, and she needed that.
She did.
Well, and that sounded like that was an intuitive download too. Like that was something you were like picking off her brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Lenora is picking up, because you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to me all the time and you don't give advice when it's not necessary. I think it's the way you perceive it because you do it and you move in and out. Because you move in and out of conversation. You know when to chill and when to give advice and when to interject yourself. Because you stop yourself because you'll grind your teeth. You like, because you know I need to hold back even though I want to say something.
Right.
So that's why it's funny. I'm like, you don't even do that, because I've talked to every last one of y'all and y'all knew when to just be quiet.
Yeah. I really don't know how to just read the room. I mean, like I said, some folks, you know, I mean, I guess if you're complete strangers, it may not be, but I think that's even more of a time to really just be like, hey, like, do you want me to just, but I think for just learning how to read the room and not being so quick to say something or to give advice. Sometimes just, you know, pull back and just, okay, let me listen first and just kind of see what they are looking for, because they may tell you with their body language or even with their context in the conversation, or when they're talking, they may even tell you what they aren't looking for. You know, they might just say like, you know, I just want you to hear that. I know it's a lot. I just want you to hear that. I'm good now though. You know what I mean? Like it may just be that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Rashia said a heart of gold syndrome, where no matter how people treat you, you still love on everyone. Sometimes the best encouragement is a listening ear and a closed mouth.
Yep.
I agree. Asking more, how can I support you?
Yeah.
Sherry say her sister Lenora gives great advice.
Yeah.
Sherry just don't take it. Mama said, wow.
Yogi, what's up?
Latasco said, I'm guilty of trying to save someone who I think needs it. I'm working on being better at just being present and listening without being a fixer.
Because sometimes that could be annoying.
Man, listen. Ahmed said, I have that problem. I'm always in automatic fix-it mode. It's hard to stop that initial reaction to attempt to find a solution. Mm-hmm. They talking about that's what's in that pink tumbler, that wine. Honey, my unsolicited advice can get it fixed in 5 minutes. I don't have the time. I'm going to get to the point person. I don't do draw out. I know Kate and Tracy, I need to work on it. I'm glad she'll listen to y'all, because she don't listen to me and Lenora. You express genuine concern, Lenora, so it's nice. People feel cared about. Somebody exactly. Lenora Lassiter will be like, get yourself together.
Or maybe she should tell you that, Sherry.
Gino, like typically people ask you for advice or speak to you about challenges they're facing because they trust your judgment and they want your opinion. I find myself having to tell people, look, we got one quick one. Georgia is canceling daylight saving time in the state. It already has been approved, and now I got to go to the Supreme Court.
I mean, there's some places in the world who are looking at the U.S., this country, are like, why do y'all have that again?
And I still ain't recuperated from 2 weeks ago. I want my hour back.
Yeah.
I'm with Georgia. That's my home state.
Yeah, like I used to live in Guam, and Guam doesn't recognize daylight savings time, so it's just like, you know, what is that?
Phoenix, Arizona doesn't either.
Yeah, middle part of America, no.
In Port Alaska, I mean, why? It's dark half the year anyway. I mean, what's the point? Well, y'all got any thoughts on Georgia? Y'all with them, against them, or like?
I think we just need to figure out what works best for all of us. You know, I mean, but I think in this case, like one size needs to fit all. Like we need to.
Thank you.
Because if we
go to Georgia and it's a different time now, like
I'm driving through Georgia and suddenly it's like,
we have to get adjusted.
Thank you, Tracy.
I think they need to make a rule for everybody.
Yeah, that's how Phoenix is though. One time of the year you're 3 hours behind, then the other time it's 2 hours behind. Mm-hmm. And they
I
really
thought COVID was the perfect time. It was the perfect time to just say, we are done with this. We are not doing this anymore. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Now you're talking about we drive to Georgia. It's not the same time. This is a mess. It's a mess.
What time is it? I don't know what time it is.
Right, I don't know.
I need to be able to know what time I can go get a margarita, right?
Amen
It's
to that.
time. It's COVID time. COVID standard time. Okay.
Well, there's so much change going on right now. Let's just change it all. Like, I mean, if there's anything else that's on the docket, well, we can go change that too.
Let's see. They're talking about Lucky, Georgia. I'm not shutting up. They said Lucky, Georgia. Please cancel North Carolina. It's my hour and I want it back.
Yeah.
So cute.
To my you from
I just used to live there.
Cancel COVID and changing time. Daylight savings is so outdated.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with daylight saving time anymore. It has changed over the years.
Yep.
It's always time for margaritas. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say this now because we're about to go into Positive Brother shout out. For one, ladies, I hope you know how special you guys are and how needed you guys are in this community. When I'm talking about the community, I'm talking about the community of humanity. So many people talk about the jewels that you guys bring, and we still hearing about it, and we have conversations. So I hope that you guys not only work together, but continue to uplift one another because this is needed. And I love because how I get comments sometimes, Traci, if Lenora comment, it'll say your friend Lenora just commented on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm in here too. Hey, y'all. Because people don't realize that you get so many notifications like me. I got 2 weeks of notifications I ain't checked yet.
Yeah.
If she does that, that brings it back to the top. And now it's like, no, I'm not avoiding you, but I just didn't have the time. But now I do because I looked at my phone for a second and now I'm engaged. So when people don't realize how things help one another, you guys literally help people every day by being who you are and giving the things that you guys give. So I thank you for your force. I thank you for your presence. I thank you for what you guys are doing. Kate, stop looking like that because you are amazing and dope and you be bringing it. You be bringing
that
it.
That wasn't what that look was for. I'm like, I'm emotional over here. I'm so proud of everybody.
That's why I did it. I'm like, you will not crown this show because I cried 2 weeks ago and I'm still recovering. So now,
well, Jay, I want to thank you because I would not have known these two ladies if you hadn't brought me on the show with them.
Wow.
And they're very special ladies. So
agreed.
Love bringing people together. That's what we do. Like this.
Yeah, we do. But now it's Positive Brother shout out, Traci. This is the opportunity where we shout out brothers who are making positive contributions in the community. And since you started talking, I think you should go first.
Oh gosh, on the spot. Well, you know, and I can't go to my go-to because I did it last time and I won't repeat myself. But, you know, I actually want to give a shout out to my brother. I have a brother who lives in Denver, Colorado. And earlier this year, he was suddenly rushed to the hospital with back pains. But they found that, thank goodness for the back pains, because he could have had a stroke because they found blood clots. And, you know, he's 5 years younger than I am. So he's he's not even in his 50s. And so, you know, this is a man who has 2 kids, 2 young kids, a wife who works full time, you know, we've got taking care of my dad. And, you know, he's carrying that load because I'm all the way out here in North Carolina. So I'm not physically present. And I just want to give a shout out to him because he got back on that horse. In fact, so fast that I'm like, are you sure you don't need more time off? But this is a man who really is dedicated to his family. He loves from his heart fully. He always has as a small child. I'll give one small story about him. When he was about 2 or 3, my mom told the story because he was all heart. He would cry at the drop of a hat if somebody else was hurt or if he perceived somebody else was hurt. And my mother wasn't paying attention to him and he kept trying to get her attention. And so finally he just put his little hands on his hips and he says, "Mama, you love me? Yes or no?" And I'll never forget, you know, that's kind of the spirit of him. And he's still like that. It's like, are you going to get up there and do this? Yes or no? And so I just want to give him a shout out. My brother, Mark.
Brother Mark.
Shout out to Mark.
Kate.
I knew you were coming here next. I did. I had a Traci moment as well, because there are a couple of men that I think I shouted out last time that I would continue to shout out. One of them is Mayor Gilbert in Apex. I think he does incredible work, and he is continuing to push through and do hard things and have hard conversations. But really, I think it's, especially with the topics tonight, I think it's appropriate to shout out to all the men out there, period, who are doing the work. Anybody who is, especially as men, we've talked about how hard it is to be vulnerable, to look at yourselves, and to, you know, to really ask some of those tough questions of yourselves. And I know then as you're doing it, and this was part of the story as well, a lot of times the women in your life will pull back because we're not conditioned to deal with men being vulnerable or being emotional. And to be able to find the wherewithal to keep pushing anyway and continue to dig deep and do that work. And then for the women who support them to be able to look at them and say, you know, your vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. And that is really difficult for men, especially. Hell, it's difficult for me. I'm an empath, and it took me, you know, all 40 years of my life to say, this is a good thing. This is not something I should be ashamed of or I should hide about myself. So yeah, here's to all the men out there who are really doing the work and trying to be better partners, better people for themselves, and be vulnerable and authentic.
Lenora?
All right. So again, I want to kind of echo what Kate stated. I want to shout out every male that is on watching tonight and will watch the replay. You are loved, you are cared for, and we're here to support you. Of course, Cordell and Jay have provided a platform that is very open, that will pour into you, which is part of my proverbial mantra, but it's here just to provide that support. So I want to shout you guys out. I also want to shout out my husband for being, you know, with me, supporting me through my endeavors. I also want to shout out, this may seem very simplistic, but I want to shout out my brother, Leo. The other day I was closing the hood on my car. My husband wasn't here, and I guess I closed it down a little bit too hard, and my tags came off the back of my car. So I went to his house. I'm like, do you mind putting my tags back on my car? Of course I could have done it, but I just wanted to see if he still had a love for me as his sister. And he went inside, got the screwdriver, and put it in there. So I just want to shout him out again. Something simplistic, but it was love in action for him to do that. I also want to shout out my brother Joshua, who is doing well. He's coaching football. I want to shout out my brother Isaac, doing well as too. He has a mattress store. So if you guys are ever in need of a mattress, My Next Mattress Outlet, he's awesome. And just every guy that is watching tonight. Again, Cordell, Jay, thank you so much for having myself on tonight. And also with Traci and Kate. These ladies are bombastic. Jay told me to retire that word, but I'm tired of hearing dope, so I want to say bombastic. Okay, I'll pass the mic to you guys.
Please retire that.
Why? I think it's dope.
And I also want to shout out my brother-in-law, Roderick. I'm sorry. He's awesome, too. He does so much behind the scenes for me, too. I want to shout him out.
Yeah, I love him. I love all your brothers, matter of fact, and your husband. So yeah, my brothers.
And my daddy.
I'm scared of still.
Yeah, shout out to all those brothers for real. Yeah, I guess it's my third. Oh, okay. So yeah, so first and foremost, I'm gonna shout out my brother Jay because we are here every week, and I've just been on this roller coaster, just riding it and just making tweaks to it. I mean, I remember when we first started, we were on Facebook Live, we were like, hey, we're going to try this, see how it goes. Now look at us. We got guests lined up until July.
We got a studio.
We got a studio. So, and then we got shout out brother Jay, man, just because we talk pretty much every day. And I told him this yesterday that whenever we talk, every single conversation we have is meaningful. And I can't really say that about a whole lot of people that I run into in life. You know what I'm saying? But every single conversation we have is meaningful. And I take something away from it. So sometimes the conversation is a little rough. Like sometimes something come away from this conversation, I'm just stuck because that light shines bright. He'd be like, well, bro. And he just hits you with stuff. And I just be like, man. He's like, hey, did I lose you? Yes and no. You know, so definitely got to shout out my bro, man. You know, so I love you, man.
Love you too,
and
bro.
Let's see. Definitely got to shout out all the brothers on the live just because you guys are here every week showing us support and really just tapping in with us. So I can't thank you guys enough. that you guys come on here and just really just share your time with us and give us your input. You know, the people that are on here, you know, just the brothers that are on here all the time, just they give so much, you know what I mean? And I'm not even talking about money, just their time, their input, their support, you know, and this is offline too. We talk to brothers offline who, you know, the same brothers that are here on the live, those same brothers are, when we run into them offline, they're the same, you know, and they're supportive and, you know, they're loving and all that. So definitely shout out all y'all as well. I'm not even gonna try to name all y'all because there's way too many of y'all. So I'm just gonna piggyback off Lenora and say y'all are loved and we love y'all. And so normally I try. I'm just like, nope, not this time. Nope, not even gonna do it. But the last two things I'll say is I want to shout out the brothers, you know, like Kerwin and like brothers that are just doing being the change that they need to, that they want to see, and they're not looking for a camera. Now, cameras find brothers like that because cameras definitely find Kerwin, and almost every week he's on somebody's news station doing something. But I want to shout those brothers out because they're really just doing work in the community and wherever else, not looking for any kind of clout or any kind of anything else. They just want to help, you know. So I definitely want to shout those brothers out. And the last thing is, be quiet, Sherry. And the last thing I want to say is shout out to all the brothers that are having the tough conversations. You know, whether it be to separate from someone or to mend a relationship, my bad, bro, or to really just, you know, for peace of mind. So because that takes real strength and takes vulnerability. So, and it can be the difference between not sleeping at night and sleeping. So one shout out those brothers too. I tried to get through that as fast as I could, bro. I really did. I really did. I was trying.
What happened? We're gonna laugh. What happened?
There's a good talk for like 7 minutes.
Leave Cordell alone, Jay. That was good, Cordell. Cordell, you have grown tremendously on this.
Right.
I applaud you.
I thought you was done. You like, I got 2 more faces.
I had to say my last 2. I said every week. I had to say the last 2.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But no, you covered everything.
Oh, man. I ain't talking. Hey, I'm gonna have a mask on next week. I ain't saying nothing.
You laugh because it's summer, y'all. It's spring, so he about to really be gone. This week come alive. Okay, I love you, bro. What he said. Only thing I'm gonna add to it, man. We got this whole new brother empowerment core that those jokers been working, y'all. Mm-hmm. They've been helping us put out the information, all of that. They've been encouraging. We talk to each other every morning now.
Yeah.
All of us are talking. So, bros, thank y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank y'all. The only thing that I will add is, guys, we are in this great situation. Ricky has been interviewing developers because we are in the process of creating an app.
Yep.
And we are raising money for the app.
Yep.
So this is going to be a free product that we want to give to the community to help them identify their values and show them how they see the world. Based off of our book, The Sacred Box. Mm-hmm. And so we're raising money. So guys, if you feel propelled to give, please do, because this is something we know that is going to change the whole landscape of humanity and how we see each other. So we're excited about it. I'm so excited for the people, the brothers that have been helping. You got your book?
Yeah.
Good. I'm excited. You got your book, so I'm definitely excited about that. But if it wasn't for these brothers for the last 2-3 weeks, I don't know how I didn't know how I would get through, guys. Thank y'all. But also I want to do a special shout out to Cordell, man. Like, he has really grown in muscle and everywhere else too. Like, this guy has really grown, and he literally is helping run Love is a Parable. I wouldn't be able to do it. My wife and I wouldn't be able to do it had it not been people like you. I want us to all just realize that we are friends, we are brothers, we are best friends, you know, but I don't think that sometimes people understand the work that he does. You see my face a lot, but this joker right here be doing some work. And I think that so when people say, Jay, you're doing a great job, Jay is not doing it by himself. It's people like Cordell that are helping me. And of course, my wife, who are helping us. He done became an uncle to our kids. So I thank you a lot, man. And I want to make sure that more people realize that it's a us thing. It ain't a Jay thing. We all are in it together and we're all killing it. And people who are viewing, man, if you feel that you have no one in this world that care about you, you just met 5 people who truly do. We have already put the information in there to contact with all of these ladies. We put their websites in the comments. So please go to them, support them. You know what? Even if you don't have the means to financially support them, leave them a message telling them how much you enjoyed this show.
Yep.
Leave a review. You can leave a review for all of them.
Yep.
Leave something to let them know that you value what they're doing and what is happening for them and what they did for you in your lives.
Yep.
But other than that, we'll see you guys next week. We're going to have more special guests and have more fun. Ladies, stay on. Everybody else, we love you guys. See y'all next week.
No matter what they say, we good over this way. This is positivity in the making of brothers to break through.